boys, let's of course get this going. I don't want to waste any time. We have 11 films to break down, some of which are considered to be some of the most iconic films in the history of movies. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to moderate just like any other show, but I'm also very aware that I am not the highest authority on Star Wars. I have seen every movie multiple times, but I'm not the highest authority on Star Wars lore, especially in comparison to you two. Sean, I'm not so sure, but we'll see. We're sure as hell going to find out today.
I've seen them all.
Yeah, right.
Boy.
So I'm going to say realistically what's the best one, and you guys are going to make the argument. So, guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. So, let's just start at number one. This probably the hardest question to answer. Matt, I'll let you go first. Best Star Wars movie of all time.
Best Star Wars movie of all time. Zero question about it. Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Glad we all agree on that.
That was the easy one.
That is what turned the franchise, like that was a sequel that turned it into a franchise.
Yeah.
Episode A New Hope, while fantastic and a classic, and showed promise, was still trying to figure itself out. That was George Lucas's really first swing at making a movie. So coming out with Empire right after that is one of the few cases where the sequel shadows everything else. It was so perfectly done. And all of a sudden, like, everything was real. The stakes were high. We got a real movie. So, yeah, I'm glad everyone agrees there.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was going to be the unanimous number one. Just like I kind of assumed there's a unanimous number two.
That's going to be a harder one, I think.
I don't know. Greenblatt, what are your thoughts? Number two.
Number two, I'm mixed on, but for number two, I put A New Hope.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Nope.
I don't know. It's either that or Jedi.
See, I'm a Jedi guy.
Yeah.
I can interchange the two of them. I'm fine with interchanging the two of them because I have Jedi at number three. I can interchange between the two of them.
All right, so here's where I'm pushing Jedi. The reason I like this movie, not only because it sums everything up and wraps up the original trilogy, but also the set pieces of Jedi, I just felt like were so much more fun. It had more of a feeling that they aren't just trapped in space. You know, when you think of space, you think of all these strange landscapes like the desert in Tatooine, and then you have Hoth that's all completely iced over, and of course the Death Star is a big machine flying in space. The reason I like Jedi, partially because it mixes everything. Jedi, you get Tatooine, you get the forest of Endor, and I don't want to say it feels like it almost takes place on Earth, but it has the most earthly feel. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but I really, really like that about it. The other reason I think Jedi actually, believe it or not, is my personal favorite, even though I'm far and above the fact that Empire is the best one. Palpatine's really cool. And we don't really get to see him in Empire. We get a floating head, and I believe we get a cameo off the top of my head, right?
He's in the hologram form.
Yeah, so we only get
not in person.
Yeah, so we only get the floating head, and I really like Palpatine as a character in the new 3, 2, 1. I really like Palpatine as a character in Return of the Jedi. You get the feeling that you're finally meeting the big bad, even though Darth Vader was the big bad of big bads. You realize, oh shit, there is really somebody over his head who has power over him. And I think that was a big deal. To have power over Darth Vader really made the Emperor seem like a badass. And then, in my opinion, one of my favorite movie endings of all time is Darth Vader realistically becoming, quote-unquote, Anakin Skywalker again and realizing his humanity and throwing Palpatine down a pipeline, which we eventually realize doesn't kill him, which sucks. But Jedi number 2.
Yeah,
all right, that's fair.
For that.
And with that, I think we can all somewhat agree that A New Hope is number 3?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's fair.
Really?
Really?
I'm gonna argue that.
All right. What do you have for your number 3?
You guys are gonna hate me. Revenge of the Sith.
See,
I don't
I'm
hate
into
it.
that.
I
I'm
don't
into
dislike
that.
it. It's not a bad.
I
it's a
don't dislike it,
pick.
but
So to throw a prequel in the top 3, I know is pretty blasphemous.
Especially
However.
because you're putting it over the first one, which a lot of people who aren't us will argue is the best.
Yeah, you could totally argue that.
Yeah.
And if, again, this is why we're having this conversation. If you guys don't agree with me, that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's the
You
point.
can shift.
Find it entertaining though. That's a awesome pick.
It's a fun movie. We finally got to see. So, I mean, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan is one of the coolest parts of the entire Star Wars universe. And I think this was like the best movie that we got to see him in. We got to see some great choreography as far as lightsaber battles go. It wrapped up what was really 2 bad movies into a 3rd movie that was, in my opinion, not perfect, but great to watch. It's fun. It's still cheesy, and it's still the prequels. But I'm also not one of those people that will come out and say the prequels completely sucked either.
No, I know.
I will also say that Revenge of the Sith did introduce one of the coolest characters in Star Wars history.
Yes.
General
exactly.
Grievous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
easily. Do you guys hear that?
Yeah, I did.
That was weird.
I heard like this guy's about as useful as blank, and I don't know.
So that might have been my brother.
No, I loved episode 3. Episode 3 for me was, you're right. It is, you want to put it up there. It's just, for me, it's hard to argue over A New Hope. A New Hope was the one that started everything and turned
You're
Star Wars
cutting out
into a
for us.
cult almost right off the bat.
You're good now.
I find it hard to argue it over A New Hope. You know what I mean? A New Hope was the one that started the franchise, turned Star Wars into a cult for a lot of people, and realistically was what created, it was the Kickstarter of this whole universe. It was the Iron Man of Star Wars. You know what I mean? And so it was just such a colossal film for its time. And that's what you have to argue, is that for its time, A New Hope hasn't maybe aged as well as some of the other ones. But at the same time, I can't say that Revenge of the Sith is as complete enough a film to put over it. I say we put it to a vote.
I mean, I think, I'm cool with saying.
I'm gonna have to.
I think we already know where the vote's going.
I'm gonna have to put it in
Okay,
the vote.
so I'm comfortable saying A New Hope 4, A New Hope 3, and then Revenge of the Sith 5.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
4.
Yeah.
4. I can't count.
I have Revenge.
That's what
of
a
the
college
Sith
degree gets
at
us.
number-
We're not math majors. We're communication majors.
You.
I have Revenge of the Sith at 6.
Oh, well, too bad.
Oh, interesting. So what do you have ahead of
So-
Revenge of the Sith?
I have Force Awakens and Solo.
So, Force Awakens for me is if we're putting Revenge of the Sith at number 4, I would say Force Awakens number 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Force Awakens is like same with Revenge of the Sith. It is the only movie out of the new trilogy that I actually really enjoyed. I mean, I think I saw Force Awakens like three or four times in theaters.
It's my favorite one of the sequels, to be
Oh,
honest.
100%. It's
Easily.
I mean, I know it's a rehash of like it's essentially a rehash,
Yeah.
but I mean, I loved it. It was really good. It introduced us to a whole group of new characters, and the dogfighting scene as they're coming out of Maz's palace,
Yeah.
is just one of the coolest. It's just so goddamn cool.
Yeah.
Poe just flying around in his special X-wing, just going around and just flying as the coolest goddamn X-wing pilot. It was just so well done.
No, I definitely agree. I have absolutely no problem putting Force Awakens here. In my opinion, I would almost, now that I'm thinking about it, I would almost put Force Awakens ahead of Revenge of the Sith.
That's what I did.
In
I'm
terms
cool
of
with that, to be honest.
huh?
I'm okay with that.
the thing is, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I'm thinking of it from a filmmaking aspect
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
from a storytelling perspective. The fact that I just think, now that I'm thinking about it, Force Awakens is a better movie. Now, Revenge of the Sith, I think I had more fun with. And you also have to remember that I was in 3rd grade when Revenge of the Sith came out, which means you were in
First.
1st grade, Sean was in 3rd, Greenblatt was in 2nd. So we were all a lot younger, and I think it matches up because Revenge of the Sith definitely feels like more of a kid's movie than Force Awakens does.
Well, I wouldn't say
Maybe
that.
not the burning. And
I would say like Order
Nah.
66 pretty much put it down
and
as one of the
child
darkest.
genocide, but
Yeah.
It's a kid's movie up until then.
Okay.
Well, somewhat. Oh,
Maybe.
I mean, Anakin beheading Dooku in the first 10 minutes.
That's a good
also-
point.
That's
So-
also
Forgot about that.
yeah.
So
And Anakin killing kids too.
Yeah.
There's
Maybe
a
not.
lot
I take that. I take the whole kids thing back.
It's definitely not a kids movie. I mean, it was one of the first Star Wars movies, like in the of the things that was like rated PG-13. Like
yes, it
hard
was. I think it was the
PG-13.
first Star Wars movie to be rated PG-13.
For good reason.
It was given a very. I would argue like
Okay.
one of the only. I would argue Phantom Menace is more of a kids movie than Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. Let me change that statement. Let me change that statement.
Just poked a hole in everything.
Revenge of the Sith isn't a kids movie, but it has more of a cartoony, campy feel to it.
It's
Yeah.
related to our childhood, too.
I would
Yeah.
say
Yes.
say it's more sci-fi, like
'Cause-
fit in with the more sci-fi fantasy. Well, sci-fi.
So-
science fiction.
For me,
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith is a big part of what introduced me to Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
In first grade, you're what, like 6 or 7? So I remember
I was
Revenge of the
10.
Sith was coming out, and like TBS or something was doing a Star Wars marathon, like to celebrate the fact that
Yep.
Sith was coming
Yeah,
out.
I remember that.
2005, people still watch live TV.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I discovered Star Wars. I remember A New Hope is on TV, and then I find out this whole thing exists, and then I get to see Revenge of the Sith in the movie theaters.
See-
So I got to watch all these movies on television, and then Revenge of the Sith was my first Star Wars in the theater
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
which was so cool as a kid. And as a kid, you're not thinking, oh, wow, the plot points, and there's a hole in that, and that doesn't make sense. You're just lightsabers and fire. It's cool.
Yeah.
He choked
I
her.
mean, even as a
She
kid,
still had a baby, but then she died after? Because
Yeah.
She died of heartbreak.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
In other
Or
words,
Padme.
heart failure.
Yeah.
I-
I will say for me, even as a kid, I wasn't really a fan of Revenge of the Sith.
Hmm.
I first started watching Star Wars when I was about 4. Like I grew up watching the VHSs. Like I
That-
had like
That's
I had
going
New
back.
Hope. I had like Revenge. I still have the VHSs somewhere in my house.
That's what I was going to say. I got into Star Wars because my grandparents, and mind you, this is an older generation, and it's only 2000 we're
Yeah.
talking about here. So, of course, the year 2000, my dad has a big flat screen TV because it's my dad, and that's what he does. But my grandparents, being my grandparents, still have the small tube TV, probably from the late 80s, early 90s, on the floor, not even on a table.
Yeah,
it's on
I had
the
one of those too
floor.
from like the 60s.
Yep. And they had a VCR, and I remember every time I would go over to my grandparents' house, we would watch in succession all 3 movies. And mind you, this is probably even I'm thinking, oh my God. So I was born March of 96. My earliest memory has to be 2000, 2001 watching these. So the Phantom Menace is out. We just all pretend it wasn't. And yeah, that was how that was realistically how I got into Star Wars, because it was something I did with my grandparents. The other note with Revenge of the Sith was the first one where I had all of the action figures.
Yeah.
That was my next point. Yeah, that's when I started getting the toys.
First of all, I'm not even 90%. I'm 110% sure that right now, if I go downstairs in my basement, I have the Anakin and Obi-Wan figures where if you squeeze the legs together, that's what
They
she
swing.
said. It's my lightsaber.
I still remember getting those toys from Burger King and stuff. I remember that was a big
Yup,
deal.
they had the Burger King. Oh my god, that
One
was
of my favorite toys when it came to the Star Wars toys, especially when Sith came out, it was an Anakin action figure, but you can turn him into Darth Vader. So you like would pop his head off, you put the helmet on, and then there was like a rubber like black suit that you just put right on top of him. It came with both the lightsabers.
the burnt body, the one with the burnt body.
Yeah.
Okay, I had a swing set in my backyard.
And it came with a burnt body.
Huh?
And it came with the burnt body.
No. So I had a swing set in my backyard growing up, and of course, anytime there's a swing set, there's like that playhouse at the top with the tent over it and whatever.
Yep.
And I would always, of course, 10 years old or 9 years old at the time, I would always take my action figures and go play up there. And mind you, at the same time, these are three. Don't ask why I know so much about action figures. So, of course, these are 1/18 scale, which I know now, 3 3/4 figures that are the same size as G.I. Joe and Marvel Universe. So I would always have, like, the Star Wars guys working with Captain America and Wolverine. And anyway, the burnt body Anakin, I remember I brought it up to my Playhouse thing and found it the next day after the lawnmower guys had come, and I left it outside, and it was already a burnt body, and now it's a shredded burnt body.
Hey, even more accurate to the movie.
Even more screen accurate.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah,
hysterical.
honestly. But the other thing with Revenge of the Sith, the toy line in and of itself had the most vehicles I think I've ever seen of any Star Wars movie, and I had all of them. I remember I had the Obi-Wan's Starfighter that had like the thing in the middle that they used in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Anakin's, they had like the triangle on. Oh, that was a good time. That was awesome.
I will also say I do have a bunch of Star Wars Legos
I
sitting
can't
behind.
see you at all.
I have a bunch of Legos. I have a bunch of Star Wars like Legos sitting behind me.
We all did at one point.
I mean, I still do currently. I was just looking at them.
I believe it.
Yeah.
All right.
My next pick.
Yeah. What are we on?
I have.
Hang on.
Wait. Greenblatt. Hold on a second. Let's figure out where we're at.
I brought a prop.
That's great. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. 1 Empire, 2 Jedi, 3 Hope. Now, is 4 Sith or is 4 Force
Force
Awakens?
Awakens, 5 is Sith.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
Force Awakens, 5 is Sith.
Okay.
And then
Right.
6, I'm going to make the argument here, Rise of Skywalker.
Absolutely not.
Really?
I hated Rise of Skywalker. It shit on the franchise.
I
Better
don't
than The
know.
Last
I
Jedi.
liked it.
Yeah, I have those two in like my bottom 4.
Okay.
Okay. Go.
So I didn't hate The Rise of Skywalker, but I don't think I would put it that high.
I would absolutely wouldn't. I would put easily Rogue One there.
I was going to bring up Rogue One. Now, I know Ryan doesn't like Rogue One.
I don't like Rogue One.
I think Rogue One, again, we're talking about complete movies here.
Yeah.
I think Rogue One is such an overlooked movie because it's literally Saving Private Ryan in the Star Wars universe. I love the idea of just its own story, and this is a part of, and when we talk about the future of Star Wars movies that I get excited about. There's almost, while it does connect to the Skywalker saga, it's like its own entity enough that it can just do what it wants without having to worry about fan service. I think it's just a fun step away from constantly saying, okay, if they said this in The Force Awakens, it better pay off in The Rise of Skywalker, and it also better make sense to New Hope. And it should, I think, while Rogue One is the bridge between episodes 3 and episodes 4, it still can just do its own thing.
I would also like to argue that we actually get to see why Darth Vader is the most scariest motherfucker in the galaxy.
That is one of my favorite scenes in a Star Wars film, for sure.
Yeah.
It's easily in my top
definitely,
3.
easily.
I mean, when you just see the look of fear on the rebels' face when you just hear the breathing, and you're like, "Oh, we're fucked.
They
We
know
have
it's
no
about to go down.
chance. We have no chance."
I
He just
almost
stops
wish,
the blaster bolt while also force choking a guy, and just slices him. Oh, it's just one of the most satisfying Star Wars scenes.
see. I wish we could get more Vader live action
Yeah.
with modern
Yes.
technology.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you want good Vader, like read the comics, read the Star Wars comics. They're awesome.
Oh, I have. They're really good.
Also in Star Wars Rebels, Vader is terrifying.
I think I've seen clips of that.
I refuse to watch Rebels.
It's
Really?
really not that bad.
I'm not watching Rebels.
It's really not. I mean, it's more of a kids. It is definitely more of a kids show than Clone Wars.
Yeah, and that's why I won't watch it.
Yeah, but it does introduce some cool characters, and there's also some good lore. We get more Mandalore stuff, which
Yeah.
I'm always on board for. We get more of the dark saber. We get what you call it? We get one of the coolest villains in Star Wars, Admiral Thrawn, who is like one of the smartest officers in the Imperial Army, who's like outsmarts everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Alright.
I'll give you this, though. I would put Rogue One at 6 and Rise of Skywalker at 7.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Greenblatt's disagreeing.
I have everything just lower 1, just because
Okay,
I have
well,
Solo
okay.
in there.
So
I do have Rise of Skywalker after Rogue One though. I'm fine with that.
So how about this? Okay, Rogue One at 6, Rise of Skywalker at 7. I would agree Solo at 8.
That's fine.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm also a sucker for heist movies.
That's why I like Solo.
Yeah,
love
that
a good
was
love
good.
a good old heist movie. Plus, we got a scene with Darth Maul, which is pretty cool. We got to see Darth with the robot legs and the
Still not as cool as Vader in Rogue One.
No.
no,
Not
No.
even close.
no, because you don't get to see Darth Maul do anything, but it's really cool. And I remember going to go see that movie with my dad, and he was like, "Wait a second, he's dead. Why is he here?" And I'm like, I had a whole explanation of
About Clone Wars.
yeah.
Okay, so here's not that we're not moving them, or not that we are moving them, but here's my argument for Rise of Skywalker, because I really did like the movie.
Mhm.
Let me first point out, though, and this is gonna seem counterproductive. Let me first point out the things I didn't like about the movie. The love story, quote unquote, between Kylo and Rey wasn't a fan. The kiss at the end
That was creepy.
is
It was
stupid.
so
Didn't like
awful.
it. Wasn't a fan.
Ruined the entire movie for me.
I
Yeah,
didn't- I
that was
really
just like the final nail in the coffin for me.
I really like Rey as a match with Finn, even though there's some fan fiction where Finn is gay with Poe. I don't know. It doesn't bother me.
The actors said they wanted that to happen.
Really.
Yeah, they wanted Finn and Poe together, but Disney would not let them do it. I think even JJ wanted to do it.
Thanks, Disney.
That would have been interesting.
No, but I like the way they teased it with Rey and Finn, at least in the first movie, and then they really didn't do anything with it.
Well, no, that's what Rose was there for. She
Oh.
was there. She was supposed to be like the token female character for Finn. That's essentially what they brought her in for in Last Jedi.
And I get that. And that leads to another point. You have these outside characters like Rose, who I felt were very underused.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
they ruined. They
yeah.
completely underused her, and like, I mean, I will. Okay, I'll get into it in the next Last Jedi thing. I will get into a bit of her character.
I have a lot to say about her
Yeah.
character.
Okay. What I liked about Rise of Skywalker, I did like how it felt like it completed the saga. I did like how they Vadered Ben Solo and made him into a good person. I thought the choreography was very, very, very well done. I thought the fight scenes and the lightsaber fights were really, really cool. I liked it. And I liked Rey's character arc. I liked that Rey was tempted to the dark side, even though that's the same cliche they used in every trilogy. where Luke was tempted to the dark side in the first one, and Anakin was tempted to the dark side and actually went in the most predictable movie we've ever seen. It was obviously described that way. And that's the thing with any movie is a hero's temptation to break the rules and to break their moral code. And you did really see Rey push to her moral code. I also like Poe's arc. I like Finn's arc. I liked the movie. I genuinely had fun with it. And when it comes to Star Wars, it's either hit and miss. You're either bored or you have fun. And with every movie we've listed so far, I've had fun with, except for Rogue One, where I was bored some of the time. But I know Greenblatt doesn't like Rise of Skywalker, and I know we put it further down on the list, but that's my argument. I like it.
So, for Rise of Skywalker, to me, I walked out of that movie with, I think, more complaints than things good to say about it. And I didn't want it to be that way. I don't hate that movie yet, or at all. I'm excited for it to be on Disney Plus next in a couple
Tuesday.
weeks. Next week.
On Monday.
On Monday.
Star Wars
Yeah,
Day.
I'm excited.
I saw the ad for it yesterday.
I'm excited for it to come out on Disney Plus so I can give it a rewatch without the goggles that I go into for a new Star Wars movie, because I get super excited. Favorite franchise.
Naturally.
So, yeah, I want to talk about some points that you brought up. The Rey kiss really pissed me off. And I know you said you'd like her with Finn. Now, a big thing for me in movies is when you take a strong female protagonist and force an unnecessary relationship to her. I said the same thing when Age of Ultron came out and they tried to put Black Widow with Hulk.
I fucking hated that so much.
Sad.
Because for some reason, Hollywood can't just have a strong female character without her kissing some dude. So I think that whole Rey and Kylo kiss took a whole bunch of character away from Rey. I think that was a huge...
Off topic, Taylor and I watched Captain Marvel on Disney Plus last night, and I loved that they didn't waste time doing that.
Yeah, thank God.
That's what made Captain Marvel so good, is you had a female protagonist without...
Just a badass.
Yeah, without having her have to be tied to some human dude. Continue.
Yeah, and I hope they keep it that way.
Yeah.
Well, there's talks that they're gonna put her with the her friend.
All right, good.
That's fine.
Keep going.
Anyway, so that was one big issue I had with it. Another issue I had with it, it was afraid to rip your heart out.
Yeah.
I really wish that scene where Rey finds out she has Force lightning and blows up that ship, I wish that Chewbacca died.
Yeah.
Because for a second, I remember my jaw dropped. I was like,
oh yeah, I did too.
I was not expecting that.
My eyes watered, and that was what I wanted out of the last Star Wars movie. But the next scene, there's Chewbacca, and it's a laugh. And I'm like, okay, well, you just ruined that for me. And then same thing goes for C-3PO. Oh, C-3PO, he's going to get washed out completely. No more C-3PO. Oh, R2-D2 has a backup for him. They were so afraid to take risks that it felt like a comic book. You know, when someone dies, they're not really dead.
Yeah.
Even
unless you're Han Solo.
Yeah, well, but even Han Solo came back.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
More of a vision than anything else.
Yeah.
Still. So things like that really upset me. I know we're gonna talk about Rose in a little bit. I'm so happy that Rose got little to no screen time, because I think
I feel bad for her actor.
I don't. Rose is the absolute worst character in the Star Wars universe. I would rather watch a Jar Jar Binks origin story than have Rose ever be in any Star Wars movie again. I couldn't stand her. Oh my God. All she did was complain. The entire movie. All she did was complain.
Oh, her sister died.
When I say I feel bad,
Too bad.
When I say I feel bad for the actor, I feel bad because of all of, like, the racism and, like, hate, like, death tweets that she got. That has
nothing to do with the movie.
I know. That's why I said I just feel bad for the actor.
Okay,
Her character is dog shit.
If we're feeling bad for any actors in Star Wars here, we feel bad for the guy who had to say the words seriously. I don't like sand. It gets everywhere.
I would blame the writers on that one.
You look at that script and look at your agent and go, "What the fuck did you get me into?
Let me go
I
do
don't
the
like
movie.
sand.
All
It
right,
gets
that's it.
everywhere.
I'm done with Star Wars. Let me go do this movie Jumper.
I grew up on Tatooine.
Jumper was that was not great.
He's not. No.
When you think Hayden Christensen can't get worse, he gets worse.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it really is.
Anakin. Yeah. All right. Let's. Should we just jump on to Last Jedi?
Good whiner though.
Or
So okay. So are we? Where are we as far as
I mean,
Rogue One?
I mean,
That's my script.
oh,
Hang on.
definitely Rogue One above Rise of Skywalker. I'm fine with having Rise of Skywalker below, above the last three.
And then
Yeah.
after Rise of Skywalker, Solo.
at 8.
At 8, yes.
Okay, I like that.
Yep.
So once again, to not wrap everything up, but to cover everything, Empire 1, Jedi 2, New Hope 3, Force Awakens 4, Sith 5, Rogue One 6, Rise of Skywalker 7, Solo 8.
Okay.
Now we're at the bottom 3.
Yep.
And this is the fun part because I actually don't know how to order them.
All right. Can I give my order? Or-
I think 9 is Last Jedi.
Yeah. I have Last Jedi at 9. As
Yeah.
awful as that movie was, like with one of the most pointless story arcs in any
Ever.
movie, the most pointless goddamn story arc.
So stupid. I hate
It
it.
was so dumb. It made
The whole
In-
casino thing was the biggest waste of time
Yeah.
ever.
It was
Star Wars and you run out of gas?
let's go to
that's
the
the
casino
last
planet
That's
and
the
get this
problem
code
we had in
breaker
a
guy.
60s movie. It's 2018 when that came out. There's a gas station on every corner. That should translate to space.
My
Yeah.
issue is with The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is by itself, besides the whole Finn and Rose storyline, not bad. However,
Oh,
I didn't
my-
hate as much
wait,
either.
Wait, let me
Let him finish.
explain
Okay,
why
okay.
let me explain why it's bad. Besides the fact that it has the best lightsaber fight ever.
Well-
The Red Room.
I mean, if
What
you
would you-
look,
That's
if
it.
you really watch it, you'll notice some of the guys, like some of the
I mean-
Emperor's cards, are like. Oh, going back to speaking of the Red Room fight, can we just say how fucking dumb it is that Snoke was a failed clone of Palpatine?
Oh, I forgot about
I would
that
like
part.
to also talk about that whole dumb fucking situation because we didn't even get into that. That's
Well,
a
okay.
whole other dumb
Okay,
situation.
one, let Matt finish. 2,
Okay.
I've made the executive decision that if we have time, the last segment is going to be what's the best lightsaber fight. But continue.
I like it. So the issue with The Last Jedi is, and this is no hate on Ryan Johnson. I like Ryan Johnson as a writer. I like him as a director. If you haven't seen Knives Out yet, do it.
I
Great
still
film.
watch it. I need to watch it. I don't know why I haven't watched it yet. I
Great
just
film.
know it's incredible.
Incredible. I watched it post Oscars, and the entire time I was mad it didn't do better at the Oscars.
Same.
Anyway, the issue with The Last Jedi is that J.J. Abrams obviously had an idea for this 3-movie story arc. And then Ryan Johnson came in and said, I want to try this, which really messed up a lot of the continuity.
Yes.
He cut off a lot of like loose ends that could have been cut off a lot better or didn't have to get cut off yet. These are story arcs that could have gone into there was no reason why Snoke needs to die. And I think Snoke's death is why he ends up being a clone of
The Emperor.
Palpatine, because eventually they gotta explain him somehow, and that's the best way to do it. The Last Jedi is only a bad movie because it is such a kink in the chain.
Yeah.
There was a story that was going to be made, and The Last Jedi, while having some really strong moments, just hurt this trilogy so badly.
And
My thoughts with The Last Jedi, in and of itself, is The Last Jedi, first of all, is the least entertained and most bored I've ever been in a Star Wars film. Aside from maybe that one scene. 2, Luke Skywalker's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
I didn't hate
Well, a little, not as much, but a little bit.
I didn't
I
hate
did
that.
not like
Would
that.
you compare him to Zordon? As bad of a dick as Zordon is in the Power Rangers movie? That level of dickishness? Or...
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I was thinking. Like,
So-
And just like Zordon being an asshole, it ruined the movie.
So okay, I liked that though because I think you turned the Boy Scout into someone who became bitter because of all this stuff they've seen. He created Kylo Ren.
Yes, he
He did.
did.
I'm also just really upset we didn't get Mara Jade in these movies. I really I know they ruled all like the old like extended universe stuff like non-canon, but there is so many good story arcs. Like with the whole Mara Jade is one of the most interesting Star Wars characters that we never got to see on screen. If you don't know who Mara Jade, Ryan, do you know who Mara Jade is?
I have absolutely no.
Okay,
idea
so
what you're
in the
talking
'90s, I'm gonna get turned into a real fucking nerd here. Even more if I know these characters that you don't.
Greenblatt,
So-
we're talking about Power Rangers next show.
Oh, that's true. No, but I'm getting more like books. Like in the '90s, there were a set of Star Wars books. Going back to the thing with Thrawn. Thrawn was actually a character in those books, like originally, and it introduced the Empire's assassin, Mara, who was like a Sith assassin named Mara Jade. Okay, see, you're looking it up on Google. So Mara Jade, Luke was able to turn her from the dark side to the light, and they got married and had a bunch of kids. One of those kids actually turned out to be a bad guy. I'm pretty sure of. So no, she's just an interesting character. I mean, Sith assassin, which is pretty cool, and like we get to humanize more of Luke Skywalker too. I wish we got more of that.
I get that because I get that we are seeing a less perfect version of Luke Skywalker. It's kind of like I'm watching. Obviously, I'm one of the few still watching Flash every week, and I'm kind of like, okay, Barry is the perfect human being. Like Barry, aside from the fact that he hides secrets from the ones he loves because he's afraid it'll hurt them, which is one of the most noble things you can do. You're right. You do see a more flawed version of Luke Skywalker, but at the same time, they made one of the most iconic heroes of all time into an asshole. And I wasn't a fan of it. Again, I know I already touched on it. The entire "we're stuck in space and out of gas" scene, I think, is the stupidest, realistically, plot for a Star Wars film you could ever think of. It should have been wrapped up in an hour. Well, it should have been wrapped up in 45 minutes.
The thing was that they had to go to that planet to get the code breaker guy, like DJ, I think his name was.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Who I didn't like his character either.
No, he was a pointless character.
Predictable
and he was really pointless.
Yeah.
He really was.
And also one useless character. It's Captain Phasma, who I really wish we got more out of.
Very underused character.
Exactly. She's so underused. Like Gwendolyn Christie is fucking incredible. If you've seen like Game of Thrones, you know, as like what's her face? I don't remember her night name, but like she's awesome throughout the whole series, except for the last season. Because last season is biggest garbage fire in the universe. Anyways, but no, just such an underutilized character, and she got killed so easy. Like Boba Fett. They killed Boba Fett off, and he's like one of the most badass characters in like Star Wars.
Didn't they kill her like 3 times? They killed her in every movie.
They killed her. She was only in 2 of them. But yeah, they killed her. They sort of killed her. Like they gave no explanation of how she got off Starkiller Base.
And the funny thing is, they used her as a huge marketing point.
They did.
She was all the toys. She was on all the posters.
Yeah, for The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
and she was there for like 5 minutes.
She surrendered super easily too.
Yeah, Greenblatt, can you kill your animated background?
It's unanimated. It's just the
yeah.
All right.
You keep going in and out of it.
No, it's better than what looks behind me.
I will be the judge of that. No, honestly, it's fine. I don't care that much.
Let me get these because I have a cold.
Yeah, that's what those were for.
I mean, that is actually what it is for. I do have cold, and I have to fucking blow my nose like every 5 minutes.
Okay, so
Let's cut that.
well, obviously we're cutting that whole thing. Not that whole thing, but you know what I mean. All right, so what are we at?
So
We're
the
at-
last two
Last two.
Well,
are-
I also want to talk about the. I didn't get a chance.
Yeah,
to talk
we were
about the
doing Last
Marvels.
Jedi. We didn't finish Last
Yeah.
Jedi.
Oh,
We
okay.
cut off topic.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
yeah. See, the problem is I don't remember where we were.
We were at. This was at number 9.
No, but where were we in the Last Jedi discussion?
The gas station thing.
Okay.
we were just about done.
Yeah. Well, well, let's talk about like the end. Finn is about to make fucking a badass like sacrifice that like would have been perfect. Like that would have actually made the movie a little better.
Yeah.
I would argue. And Rose comes out of nowhere and stops him, but like, oh, we have to do it for hope and love and all that bullshit. And,
Love
like,
wins and they kiss
love
each other.
wins, and I'm like,
And then you barely see her in the next
no,
movie.
this would have been a fucking perfect ending. It would have been a perfect sacrifice.
Yeah.
It would have. It would have been so. I'm trying to think. It would have been so well written, but it just ruined.
The
it.
Last Jedi, in and of itself, if it reminds me of any movie, and to compare it to just a movie I know for a fact we all know very, very well, to compare it to a superhero movie, it makes me think of Batman vs Superman,
Oh yeah.
where
I was honestly gonna think you were gonna say Thor versus the Dark World.
no, it makes me think of Batman vs Superman, where it's a bad plot, it doesn't make sense, the characters aren't great, and it just goes on.
And I'm telling you, you gotta watch the extended cut because it fills in a lot of plot holes.
Never.
It
But
does.
it's not even the plot holes we're talking about. It's the fact that it
It's still not a good movie by any
felt
means.
like
It just
it went on
or
forever.
it was 2.5 hours, and the extended cut is 3.
The
I fell asleep watching
the entire battle scene at the end on the Ash planet, I think it was Ash, right? On the white Ash planet, where
Yeah,
every
with like
time you
the
hit
ice,
the ground,
with
it
this like,
would
yeah.
spark red.
I did actually kind of like that scenery. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Like,
liked the scenery and the set piece, but at that point in the movie, I was so bored. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's get this over with. Is Luke gonna die? He's dead. Cool, let's go home. I have to pee.
it.
What a dumbass! What a dumb death too.
It
Like for a character of like as I'm gonna say worshipped as Luke Skywalker is.
yeah.
For him to go out like that was
wrong.
just I was so mad.
Yeah, it was underwhelming.
It
was beyond underwhelming. I'm like, why?
I don't know, man. I
There's
didn't
just so
like
many
the
things
movie.
wrong with that movie.
Yeah, I genuinely did not like it, and I specifically remember that was the first time I ever came out of a Star Wars movie. Because mind you, the last two we're going to talk about, I was too young to go see. Actually, I do. Not true. I do actually think I saw Attack of the Clones, but I was too young to remember how bad it was. Because when you're 6 years old, you think every movie's the best movie ever. That Last Jedi was the first time I walked out of a Star Wars movie and remember going, wow, that sucked.
Yeah.
Even Rogue One, even Solo, I was like, I was like, okay, it had some redeemable qualities. Last Jedi, I was like, wow, that sucked. Last two.
Okay, so for me, I say Attack of the Clones is a better movie than Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
I mean, Attack
I
of the Clones only
disagree.
has one viable scene.
Yeah,
I strongly.
I mean, in Attack of the Clones, we get the Darth, and in Phantom Menace, we get the Darth Maul fight, which is awesome, and we get pod racing, which I do.
I hated pod racing.
I like pod racing.
I
It was dumb, but I enjoyed it.
I didn't like baby Anakin. I didn't like pod racing.
But also, Attack of the Clones also ruined Padme as a character.
Padme was never a good character.
No,
I mean-
I disagree with that. I think Revenge of the Sith ruined Padme as a character.
I mean,
They
she
made
was
her-
so fine with Anakin genociding the Tusken Raiders.
Hang on. They made her a badass protagonist, in what maybe not a badass to the point of like Rey or Captain Marvel, but they made her a strong female protagonist. She was a freaking princess in 1 and 2, even in 2 with the poop monster or poop robot, which I'll break down in a second. And then they made her barefoot and pregnant in the 3rd one.
Yeah.
I think the 3rd one ruined Padme.
Yeah.
I do say, but like, same with a lot of these like prequel characters. I'm gonna go a little off track. The Clone Wars was so good at making those characters like way beyond more like
Yeah.
like Anakin Clone Wars is one of the most coolest characters in Star Wars like at all. Like he's
Easily.
just awesome. Like Obi-Wan is awesome. It's such a good show.
I'm just gonna come out
But
and say
I'm
it.
gonna get into that like when we talk about the extended universe
I'm
stuff.
just gonna come out and say it. I don't like Natalie Portman.
I mean that's fine.
I like her as Jane Foster.
I don't.
Yeah,
I know. But I like her as Jane Foster. I'm excited to see her in Thor Love and Thunder. Once again, I know you're not. As Padme, though, once again, I liked her in 1 and 2. I think 3 ruined her. And I think that was probably the one, not the biggest drawback to 3, but one of the biggest drawbacks to 3 is they completely ruined Padme to
Annie, you're
Love
breaking
and
my
Thunder.
heart.
Yeah.
It's killing me.
So stupid.
Yeah, that was, yeah. So,
I mean, as far as these movies go, I'm cool with putting either of them at 11.
It really doesn't. At this point, we're at the dumpster heap.
the only reason I would argue Phantom Menace over Attack of the Clones is I think Greenblatt's right when he said the Phantom Menace gives us just a hair or a smidgen, I think, more substance than Attack of the Clones does. First of all, Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn in and of itself,
Yeah.
in and of itself, puts it ahead of anything Attack of the Clones did. I didn't dislike Ewan McGregor's young Obi-Wan.
No.
I
No,
thought that was cool.
I thought he was good.
Like I said earlier, Ewan McGregor was the best part of the prequels.
Oh, easily.
Oh, by far.
Easily. And again, I don't fault Hayden Christensen as much as I fault the writers.
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Hayden Christensen is a fine actor. Could they have potentially got someone better? Probably. I think Hayden Christensen did the best job he possibly could with the worst writing I've ever seen that isn't Batwoman. Because good God.
I didn't even attempt to start. I didn't even attempt to watch that show.
I got 2 episodes in and said I can't do this. I really want to. I want to try. We're gonna have a Batwoman discussion offline because there are certain things I can't say.
Yeah.
But I even like Natalie Portman as much as I know you didn't in the Phantom Menace. I thought that was cool. The set pieces of the Phantom Menace probably weren't actually as well done as Attack of the Clones because Attack of the Clones, everything was big CGI and really taking the full force of what you can do in the year 2002 that you couldn't do in the year 1999 or the previous decades. But it almost feels like there's too much CGI. And I felt like aside from that one really cool Coliseum fight scene, there wasn't any substance to it.
Yeah.
You have as Screen Junkie said, you have a disposable CGI army that you don't grow to care about fighting another disposable CGI army that you don't grow to care about. You're having an entire movie about trade deals. It's like watching a 2.5-hour Donald Trump press conference.
Oh, Jesus.
I will say, doing Star Wars: The Clone Wars was one of the smartest. The show was
Easily.
was the smartest idea that they've ever done. They've ever
That
had.
saved their ass.
It
Yeah.
did. It just.
That didn't happen. The new
I
sequel
will argue
series
that,
wouldn't have happened.
I will argue that canceling it was not a good decision.
No.
Everything's got to end
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, but so also the other thing, crap, what was it? There's something else. God, why am I forgetting it? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. There's something
Now,
else.
the other thing I didn't like about Phantom Menace. Oh, I hit my camera. 3, 2, 1. The other thing I didn't like about Phantom Menace, the one thing I think that sticks out in my mind of the whole movie, and we're letting a lot of things slide here, including Jar Jar Binks, including all the racism and anti-Semitism, including the fact that it's fine that Padme just has a freaking clone of her that I think is kind of weird. The one thing I think that bothered me the most is that all the pilots are in that dogfight in space at the end of the movie, and all of a sudden just a 6-year-old flies out on a ship of his own, and everybody's
now,
like,
this is pod racing.
oh, cool, we got another one. Nobody's like, what the fuck? Why is there a 6-year-old taking one of our planes? That's a liability.
I just remember.
Save him.
I just remember the thing I was gonna say. In Attack of the Clones, the assassination plot is so dumb. An assassin hires an assassin who hires another assassin.
Yeah.
Can we just say how dumb? I just want to say how dumb that is.
Hire one and get the job done. That's all it takes.
Why just don't use space worms? Like, you missed on the explosive, you missed them with the space worms. Like, Jango Fett is one of the deadliest bounty hunters in the galaxy at this point.
Jango Fett.
I said Jango Fett.
Yeah,
I said Boba.
No. I will say Boba Fett as a kid.
Why Jango Fett didn't just shoot her in the head is another big question. I did appreciate Jango Fett getting his head cut off. I think that was pretty fun to watch, especially as a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old.
More fun to watch his son watch.
I would say he's definitely a little older than that. He's like a young teen, because in the Clone Wars, in season 1 or 2, which is not long after Attack of the Clones, he takes down an entire Republic cruiser on his own. He literally destroys an entire cruiser by himself. He also comes up with a plan to trap 2 of the deadliest Jedis in the entire Republic.
Yeah.
Boba Fett as a character is awesome.
So, looking at our final list here, because we did take up a full hour, but it's a Star Wars special, so if we need to go over, we'll go over. I have unlimited minutes on YouTube. Number 1, Empire Strikes Back. Number 2, Return of the Jedi. Number 3, A New Hope. Number 4, Force Awakens. Number 5, Revenge of the Sith. Number 6, Rogue One. Number 7, Rise of Skywalker. Number 8, Han Solo. Number 9, Last Jedi. Number 10, Phantom Menace. And number 11, Attack of the Clones. I almost said Force Awakens again.
Can we have a bonus for number 12? Star Wars The Christmas Special.
Oh, Jesus.
That is a classic.
Jared actually brought that up and said
did he really?
Yeah.
I had a thing on my notes to say for one of the...
Yeah, that wins hands down. Or the disco one.
When I talk about Disney... What disco one?
I'm pretty sure that might have been I thought they did a disco one.
That was the Star Wars Connect game.
No, they did something in the 70s. They did maybe it was a disco album. Either way, absolute garbage.